Jesus, I've come to be with you.
Alright, Smile Empty Soul, Hiding Place. Smile Empty Soul is my other favorite band, my second favorite band. This song is off of their album Threes that came out in 2012. It's their fifth studio album. So Smile Empty Soul got popular 2003 with their first album. They're self-titled. They had a song on there called Bottom of the Bottle. It was got a lot of radio play, and they had a couple other hits on there. Nowhere Kids, Silhouettes, and then after that they kind of went underground. So they still have a huge fan base, still putting out great stuff, constantly putting out stuff. So between Smile Empty Soul, which is like a whole new lineup now, except for Sean Danielson, the singer. Sean also has his like solo stuff, so he's just constantly churning it out, and it's good. Their first album, like, you can't even find that now. It's been like kind of erased off the face of the planet. So what happened was something between them and their record label. The record label, I think, owns the rights to it. But basically they went underground because they had, I don't know, this fight with their record label, and basically, so this band just they don't sell out is what happened. All right, so they just wanted to do their thing that they wanted to do, and for whatever reason the record label wasn't having it. I don't know the details, but this is just how they are. This is how Sean is. He's very, very solid dude. He does what he wants to do. I mean, he does what he believes is right, and he writes true to his beliefs. And so, on the self-titled album that was, their first album that came out in 2003, the guys were, they're like 22, 23, like very young and rebellious, and it's very angry, angst-filled album. And so they had a song on there called Every Sunday, just not painting a very positive picture, right, of the religious life, and talking about his mom being, very religious, and like that. I don't want to be like my mom, he says. And the silhouettes. And so you have that, how they came out. And then there was a song called Jesus is the Manager of Walmart, and this was very I'm not a big fan of that song, kind of making real light of Jesus and salvation. That was on Vultures. It was like the third studio album, right? And then Consciousness comes out, and this came out like 2009, and there's a little bit of a shift there. And then the last track on that album is actually a song called Oh Lord. It's this beautiful prayer. It's just like, it's very much this turning towards God, right? So and I remember, because I was there, right, when this happened, like, they put this out, and the fans, they were like, a lot of the fans, they were not happy. They're like, felt betrayed. They're like, what, what's this? Isn't this the same guy that wrote Every Sunday, and like, okay, well, people change, so people have a change of heart, and this is exactly what happened, right? So, but it's very cool that Sean, he had, change of heart, and this is what he wrote about, not really caring whether or not his fans are gonna all fall off the Smile Empty Soul train. That wasn't an issue. He was gonna write what he was gonna write, and that's what I admire about him. So if you are familiar with some of their early stuff and you didn't realize that they kept putting out stuff, and you haven't been keeping up, definitely get back into them, because you're going to find a wealth of good music, especially threes. This album is just awesome. It's great. All right, so that's the background. Okay. Overview of the song. So the song is about this hiding places where we hide from God, right? So obviously, you can't hide from God, but we attempt to, we put on our fig leaves, if you will, like Adam and Eve, and attempt to hide from God, kind of lurk in the shadows. We don't want to turn to God. We don't want to accept the truth, but God is always coming after us. God is always searching for us, and that's what the song's about. Alright, so in a nutshell. So, alright, I'm gonna play a lyric video. It's got the right lyrics, so. Alright, so this is an outdated photo of the band, but I think accurate to 2012 when this album came out. So these are the band members that were not the original lineup. Ryan here, he's original lineup. This is Jake, drummer. Now we have Sean is still in the band, and I think he's got new guys. There might just be a two-piece now. So ear to the ground as I fear for the end of my days. So this is like, we go to like those end time readings, right? So like Jesus tells us to be alert, to, stand guard, stay watch, for you do not know the time or the hour when the Son of Man will come, right? So that's basically what he's talking about. This whole first verse, and then the trumpets are calling. So I mean, that's again, talk about the final judgment. That's when the angels are gonna, blast the trumpets, and they'll come and they'll separate the shaft from the wheat. That whole thing. So it's looking at your particular judgment when he talks about the end of my days, and then the kind of more of the final judgment with the trumpet blast. So basically looking at being judged by God, right? But being fearful, and he's saying accepting my fate. So it's like he's the unfaithful servant, right? From Matthew 24, the unfaithful servant is not doing what he's supposed to do when the master comes home, and as opposed to the faithful servant, that's doing what he's supposed to do, and the unfaithful servant is, like beating the slaves and getting drunk or whatever, and then, the wailing and gnashing of teeth, right? So that's the kind of the sense that I get here, that he's alert. He's alert. So he knows that the end is coming. But there's a fear because he's maybe not doing what he's supposed to be doing, but he's aware of it. So it's almost like this is kind of like the beginning stages of this of the spiritual life, where you start to feel in your conscience like, okay, I should probably be not be doing, this. I should probably be, maybe going to church, maybe like spending more time in prayer. It starts to kind of, it's there, it's on your conscience, you're thinking it, but you're making excuses maybe, like, okay, well, I don't think God really thinks this is bad, or I don't think he really cares, or God understands, that whole thing, or like, well, I really don't have time because, and I was that person. So, so that's like the beginning of a spiritual life, sort of, is what I see there. And then, goes into talking about how did you find my hiding place? Alone in the shadows, right? So that brings me to John chapter 3. So I'm just going to read here, John chapter 3, verse 19 through 21. And this is the verdict, that the light came into the world, but people preferred darkness to the light, because their works were evil. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come toward the light, so that his works might not be exposed. But whoever lives the truth comes to the light, so that his works might be clearly seen as done in God. So that hiding place in the shadows is exactly that, is the darkness. And why are we in that hiding place? Well, St. John here in the gospel makes it very clear that we're in that hiding place because our works are evil and we don't want God to see them. As opposed to being in the light, while the light is the truth. Wandering aimlessly because you don't have the fullness of the truth, like we have in the Catholic Church, where you have the scriptures, you have the magisterium, you have the tradition, right, that was handed down from Jesus to the apostles, all the way down to us. As it says in the Bible, St. Paul, hold fast to the traditions that we teach you, both written and not written. So there's that, right? So like for me, I know if I'm looking for God, I know exactly where to find him in the Catholic Church. I know that if I go to a Catholic church, that I will find the true presence. If I want to put myself in the true presence of Jesus, that he's there. Sure, there's a lot of things that are still up to interpretation, but for the most part, so much of the mystery is been figured out. We have a wealth of knowledge of God's revelation, right? And so, but to be in the darkness, to be wandering aimlessly, is just because you don't have that, or you're ignoring it. You're taking, maybe little bits and pieces, a little verse here or there, and interpreting it however, you want to interpret it that fits, what you want to believe, believing what you want to believe about God, and I was this person, so I know, and I've had people in my comments be like, oh, I don't think God's really like that. I don't think God's really, judging or whatever. It's like, okay, well, you can think that, but it doesn't make it true. God has revealed himself to us, a lot about himself to us through Jesus Christ, through the church. So, you know, um, so that's what I would say about that. And yeah, nervous to make any waves because you don't want to upset, right? Kind of your view of how you understand God. This part of the song is kind of ironic in the way that he's searching for something to validate pain, right? And this is what brings a lot of people, right, to search for God. Um, but then, we're talking about God um, finds him in his hiding place. Like, how did you find me? So it's like, are you looking for God or is God looking for you, right? So this is the question. Um, and but the truth is that God is always searching us, and um, to be found by God is to find God, and that is really just to turn toward him, and face him, which takes two things: humility and trust. So, seems kind of counterintuitive, but it's actually pride that puts us in this hiding place. You would think, okay, if I'm proud and I'm confident, then I'm going to step out into the light and let my works be seen, right? But it's actually the opposite. When you're proud, then you have maybe like a false sense of self, right? Because you believe yourself to be, um, you know, all this, and then deep down inside that that you don't measure up, that you fall short of grace, right? And so there's a fear to look at that and to see yourself, as God sees you, because you are proud and you don't want to let go of that kind of false image of yourself. Whereas if you're humble, if you see yourself as God sees yourself, you see yourself for the way that you truly are, that you are a beloved child of God, first of all, but you fall short of grace, you don't measure up, actually, you are, just this little plebe, you're nothing compared to God, but this, then to come out into the light and to be seen for who you are, that's not going to be an issue, because you have pretty much, you accept that. So humility and trust, because obviously when you trust in God, then you're willing to accept, right, whatever he has for you. But trusting God comes from knowing God, which comes from having a prayer life. So but so Mary is the ultimate model of these virtues of humility and trust. And so on that note, actually, today I turned on Mass on the Divine Mercy channel that I live stream like pretty much every single day. And amazingly, Father Andy had this great homily that just fits so perfectly to this song and what we're talking about. So I'm just going to play that clip. talking about Mary and being found by God, and really everything that we're talking about here. So this is great stuff.
So the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field. This person finds it, but they hide it again. It's so precious that they don't want it to get lost. And then out of joy, the person runs to the owner of that land, and he's willing to sell everything that he has to buy that field. The field that looks so plain, so ordinary, and yet there's a diamond in the rough. The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. Again, this search. What is truly going to make my heart rest? He finds a pearl of great price. He sells everything that he has just to buy that. All the other jewels, all the other pearls, everything. He gives up house and home, everything, just to have something that looks so small, and it's actually worth everything. Now, this kingdom of heaven, it's not so much just a location, somewhere over there, but it's the presence of Jesus Christ reigning in your heart. That's the kingdom of heaven. And so when the Lord says the kingdom of heaven is at hand, repent and believe in the good news. The good news is God came in search of us, and he wants a relationship with us. He looks at you like the pearl of great price. Just as you are being called to give everything up to follow him, but he also looks at you saying, I first gave everything up. I sold everything, including my blood, so that I could find you. This is the great mystery of Christianity. All other religions are about searching for God, going up the mountain in a sense, and finding him. The Catechism says that Christianity is firstly about God in search of man, who has been captured and broken, and he goes and finds us. Now, the one who truly allowed herself to be fully found is our Blessed Mother, the Immaculate Conception. She was fully available. There was no Adam or Eve taint of original sin within her. And Adam and Eve, after the fall, they hide. They're not available. She says, here I am. I come to do your will.
All right, so that's all I have. Please like and subscribe and all that. Check out Smile Empty Soul if you are not already in the loop on that. And if you're here because you're a Smile Empty Soul fan, hi. All right, see you around.